What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about prison life and basically how it affects musicians and what really comes from that experience for musicians. So, if you're interested in content like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You know how it goes. Your boy here is always delivering. So, first things first, we have to kind of address the elephant in the room, being that you know, hip hop is kind of like something I enjoy here in this channel. But the elephant in the room is that there is a level of criminality when it comes to hip hop culture. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to connect the two things, but there is kind of a realistic reason for why that is, right? And so when you think about just simple experiences of those that have been, I'll say, employed by hip hop, they usually have a similarity when it comes to their demographic. Now, if you remove something like nationality, race, and gender, you'll notice that most of the people that get employed by hip hop tend to come from low income to impoverished demographics and backgrounds, right? And I think personally, my opinion is the reason for that is because music is one of the simpler jobs. Like, to be able to participate in music, it is a simple thing, but to be successful in it is difficult because of all the things you have to be good at, right? So to explain that simply, all that means is that I can learn to rap or beatbox or, dance anywhere in the world, no matter where I come from, right? But to package that into something that you want to pay me for is different, right? So that's the difference between like the guy who can dance really well in the club and a street performer. The street performer learns some things that works to get a dollar and to make a business, whereas the guy who dances really well in the club just kind of just wants chicks and to be popular. And so what then happens is that's attractive to a lot of people, a lot of different kinds of people. And so when it comes to hip hop, the attraction is also accompanied by a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is usually just the storytellings of the people who are attracted to hip hop. Now, the reason why I'm telling it in a way that these people are separate from hip hop, meaning like the criminality of maybe their personal lifestyles are separate from the music, is because the music is simply just along the act of dancing or being a DJ or emceeing or rapping. Those are separate from you, robbing somebody or selling drugs or something like that, right? But it's easy to rap about your lifestyle. You see the difference? When you have the opportunity to make money rapping about your lifestyle, right? And so it's not as entertaining to talk about, let's say, a 24-year-old, college student female trying to get into her healthcare industry career. That's not going to be as interesting as a song of, maybe that same girl trying to get over a breakup. It's not as attractive simply because there's more pain connected to it. More people can probably relate to being pain, or they just kind of romanticize about being in pain because their life isn't as painful. There's a lot of reasons that attract that people to that, more so than, let's say, rapping about something that feels good. So this leads me to another point, which I've stated before. I haven't made this up, but this is something that exists, where most people will walk towards comfort but run from pain. And so when you can see more people relating to like sadness, depression, anxiety, financial issues and poverty and things like that, it's easier to kind of gravitate towards, because we all can try to run from that pain together. But if I were to make a song about, eating better, exercising daily, deep breathing, fixing relationships, that would be like they would call that the R&B cut on the hip hop track, right? That would be the deep song. You try to get deep on that part, right? That they wouldn't really consider that just average normal hip hop until you have to like drill it into your own style. And so when it comes to why the criminality aspect is so connected to hip hop and why it's so tied, part of that plays a role is that many people who are in the criminal lifestyle tend to find an outlet when it comes to hip hop. Now, what is the attraction to criminality to musicians of all genres? When it comes to that, that's usually just a card of opportunity. It's very rarely that you got a guy who's like known for being an evil guitar player. You know what I'm saying? Like he's usually just a criminal that happens to play guitar, or there's no like singer who's like killing the game but literally killing people. You know, that's not a thing. You either are the criminal or you are the singer, right? And so no matter if it's like Latin music, rock and roll, death metal, this kind of like criminal element just kind of exists everywhere around the world, no matter what industry or what genre, right? And so the reason why hip hop always focuses on that is because it's more entertaining, because you literally get the expression directly from the person, along with the authenticity part of it. Like you really think you're listening to a I guess the diary of a criminal, right? You really think like you're listening to some weird dude sit in his room and rap about like all the bad things he does in his life, right? And so for you, that may be attractive. And since you find that attractive or entertaining or quirky and weird, and you know, bad people do bad things, and so it's just fun to watch, like a car crash, that creates an opportunity for that person to make money. So on a good side of that, on a nicer version of that, that would be like a young girl who's making a TikTok dance and it goes viral and then suddenly she can get monetized. That would be the criminalized version of that, where like somebody commits a crime, raps about the crime, puts it on a beat, and then the beat is just nice enough for you to be attracted to it. It creates an opportunity for them to be monetized. And so when that happens, that gets multiplied by everybody who sees the success, because they then try to replicate it. They then try to do it for themselves. And when they're able to pull it off one time, two times, three times, you then create a market or a business. And most of the times, the businesses that come from that don't really care about intention. So now you have an issue of, you as a fan, you want to be delivered, let's say, some cool song, some rap song, or whoever's the coolest guy in the hood. You want to see what he's up to. You know, he a thug, right? You want to see that. How do we get you to pay for that, so that way we can all eat and make money out here and pay our taxes and bills, right? The key thing is we have to manufacture the product. We have to figure out, how do we create the thing you desire as a fan, as a hip hop fan, or as a music fan? Because let's say, like I said, the criminality aspect of music is in almost every genre. I'm only speaking on hip hop because it's just one thing in hip hop that hip hop chooses to focus on. But as you as a fan, how do we get you what you want? We have to manufacture the product. And so when you think about what the product is, this is something that I actually had to learn as a musician a little later, in my, I guess, student years. And this was something that you learn as a musician when you actually get to create a show. So if you were to make an artist from the ground up, you had no clue what they're about, where they're from, or anything like that, right? The first thing you're going to try to do is create their story. And their story would need to be either relatable or entertaining. Because remember, you don't have to be a good person to enjoy bad things, right? you can be a bad person and enjoy bad things, but you can be a good person and enjoy those bad things as well. So like, you can like hip hop with cuss words and, you know, gangster beats and crime and all that stuff, right? That sounds cool, right? And you can also be that same guy that listens to that and then gets up and go and be a shift lead at like Wendy's. So it works that way in the real world, but you pay for that experience. And so the product that you are attracted to has a connection to you, to your lifestyle. Maybe it's because you're from a certain city, from a certain block. Maybe you like how the rapper talks, or maybe the rapper's working with some cool beats or something like that. Very rarely does it land on, I like how this rapper's rapping about their crime. Like, we don't really care about the crime, right? It's not that important to us. We don't care if it's really authentic. It's just kind of like it's just kind of like a icing on the cake, just to say like, oh wow, he may have turned his life around, or maybe that's like a cool story to tell, right? But what happens when we are trying to create a product? You then start to find your resources, or you will synthesize your resources. And what I mean by synthesize, meaning you will just create one. Meaning you can take a guy with a parking ticket record and call him a criminal. And then you can have him rap about how tough it was to be poor because he's bad with money. And you can also package him up to be a underdog turned champion because you've given him a makeover. You can synthesize this story. And the only reason this story would ever work is because you believe and can sell the story. There is a misconception that in hip hop, the capitalistic, principles that we abide by don't work, like marketing and sales and things like that. So if you take a closer look at a lot of your favorite musicians, any criminality that they may have had, if they're truly trying to be successful in music, they usually turn it into a product. Their criminality or their lifestyle, they turn that into a product, or they completely separate themselves. And that's where you will then see the actual talent between people who are trying to be musicians versus people who are selling a product, which happens to be music, right? And so, to give you kind of like a basic example of what I'm saying, you could have one musician who's a trumpet player who's trying to pay his debts. He owes somebody money, right? And he's gotten really good at the trumpet, so much so that he's making enough money to actually put a dent into this debt. And then on the other hand, you have let's say like a 20-year-old college student who also plays trumpet. But their idea of being successful is simply collaborating and being involved in the industry. The two of them have different intentions and two different lifestyles that are going to approach two different results. But the thing that happens is they are both affected by the market. So if you were to ask the market, which one of these musicians were you willing to put your money on, it's really down to how either one of those trumpet players can sell themselves. So I can make up a way to sell it to where the trumpet player who has a debt to pay is the more attractive musician, or I can sell it the other way. And that's where I think personally fans get it confused when they are combining the criminality aspect of a lot of their favorite musicians to the actual musicianship. And it's easy to make this mistake because, like I said, I had to learn this because I went to school for music, but it's easy to make this mistake because you're bombarded by messages that are not authentic usually, or you're bombarded by messages that are intended to make you believe a certain thing. So this was enjoyable to you, let me know. And let me know in the comments. Let's have the conversation. Do you think the criminality aspect of musicians and things like that plays a role in how we celebrate our musicians today, or do you think it plays no role at all? And let me know. My name is DameSmiff. If you enjoyed this, make sure you let me know. We're out.